actually, this is a pretty good description of Humboldt. But it also resonates with Thoreau's description of himself in the opening of Walking as the saunterer, right? Or the man sans terre, without a land or home. Which means then, as Thoreau continues, having no particular home, but equally at home everywhere. Or more broadly, the crusader for whom all the earth is the Holy Land. Such a crusade is, Thoreau emphasizes, as much inward as outward. In fact, he liked the notion of inward travel so much that he repeated those same verses about home cosmography in Walden. And there he stresses the absurdity of the U.S. exploring expeditions that were hurrying across the surface of the globe without understanding the home truth. As Thoreau asks, what does Africa, what does the West stand for? Is not our own interior white on the chart? So this polarity, far away versus home, traveling versus dwelling, global versus local, seems to assert an either-or dilemma, but Thoreau's solution is to assert both sides of the paradox at once. The deeper you dwell, the farther can be your reach. The wider you roam, even if only in imagination, the stronger must be your roots. Walden, that one small glacial kettle pond, intensifies as Thoreau comes to know himself in its waters, but it also extensifies until it becomes the entire cosmos. But not a microcosmos exactly, that ancient notion of the world in a grain of sand and eternity in an hour. That's not quite what I mean. Walden more as a kind of node or intersection which knots together and makes visible all the infinite threads connecting the cosmos. Kind of what physicists today might call a singularity, a point where gravity collapses space into infinite density, a kind of cerebral Big Bang. To reach that singularity means learning, in Thoreau's words again, to travel a great deal in Concord, which means undergoing a kind of perceptual shift away from seeing this home place, or indeed any home place, all of our home places, as some little mean scrap of something much bigger and better, but rather towards seeing how, to quote Heraclitus, even here the gods are present. Thoreau wrote that even the worn threshold stone on the doorstep is, quoting a wonderful phrase, planetary matter. That every point on the planet is equally some star's surface. Well, to see even our worn, familiar, and mundane homes as some star's surface demands a certain astral triangulation. So Thoreau admonishes us to never forget that the same sun which ripens my beans illumines at once a system of earths like ours. And he continues then by chastising himself. If I'd remembered this, it would have prevented some mistakes, he writes. This was not the light in which I hoed them. The stars are the apexes of what wonderful triangles. Could a greater miracle take place than to look through each other's eyes for an instant? Well, thus, though I cannot see through your eyes, I can triangulate from my eyes to yours via the star that we hold in common. That star being any object that we behold together. And so by extension, the cosmos is that which allows us to translate our words to each other, to find what it is that we share amidst all that estranges us from each other and alienates us. This would mean that if we dwell on the ground, we must not forget to look up. If we travel among the stars, we must not forget to look earthward. That way we will remember that there is no such thing as a universal or a global, but only ever and always the ground under our feet, here and now, someone's home at every point, which, as we will discover, is bound to every other point. Which is to say, there is no cosmos in the abstract. You will know cosmos only insofar as you know some place in particular. The deeper you go into your Walden, the more you will know our cosmos. Or as Susan Frey asked yesterday, where is your Walden, yes? To give a homely example, I grew up in the outskirts of Seattle, in a very different landscape than this one. But when I read Thoreau as a teenager, I seemed to know Walden Pond just the same. I triangulated via Thoreau's words on the page, our common star, from Thoreau's wild huckleberries to my wild blackberries, from Thoreau's oaks and sweet fern to my cedar and salal. Strange mobility of the imagination of man, marvels Humboldt, as he listens to the sound of a cowbell in twilight, as he's in the strangeness of the Venezuelan tropics, and suddenly is transported in mind to a pastoral valley at home in Germany. The point is that without home cosmography, there is no away cosmography. That is, without a here, no there, without a home, no afar, without Walden, no cosmos. One discovers the cosmos only by looking upward from a Walden, and then one discovers that the cosmos is a network of Waldens. There is one a mile or so from here, and there is another one on Puget Sound, and there are millions more, billions, countless as the stars. So perhaps I should pause at this moment to define cosmos more precisely. We've today diminished Humboldt's word to mean nothing more than the stars above, far and away and tantalizing, but mostly irrelevant. And of course, right now as we speak, the last shuttle is up in the stars. Again, the last one, that's symbolic. As if in turning to the stars, we turn our back on the earth. Instead, Humboldt took his readers on a journey to the stars to see in our imagination something amazing, something that would change epochs, something that would change the course of human existence, and that is the Earth revealed as a planet, singular blue-green in the velvet dark of space, one vital point in what Humboldt called the great garden of the universe. There are two essentials to this seeing. First, there's the planet itself. No humans visible on it, inhuman nature in its otherworldly out-there-ness, apart from us and even indifferent to us. Second, the human seeing, the eyes and the mind in concert saying, "Look, so beautiful." And then asking, how does it all work? What makes it round? What makes it go? What are all these things that compose this beautiful world? The cosmos, that is a composition that joins a physical universe quite separate from us with a mind that can see in that universe that beauty and order to which the ancient Greeks gave the word cosmos, meaning both art and knowledge, poetry and science, in a kind of yin-yang embrace. Without us, there will be still a perfectly splendid physical universe. It existed before us and will go on existing after us, but without us, there can never be a cosmos. For cosmos is born in the dance of mind and nature, nature and mind, like Thoreau's scarlet oak leaves, those flecks of earth reaching into the sky, dancing, quoting Thoreau, arm in arm with the light, so intermingled that you can hardly tell at last what in the dance is leaf and what is light. Thoreau himself never defines cosmos per se, but he does come close in walking. He writes there of his disappointment that so few men are, as he is, attracted to nature. Quoting Thoreau, "In their relation to nature, men appear to me, for the most part, notwithstanding their arts, lower than the animals. It is not often a beautiful relation, as in the case of the animals. How little appreciation of the beauty of the landscape there is among us. We have to be told that the Greeks called the world cosmos, beauty or order. But we don't see clearly why they did so, and we esteem it at best only a curious philological fact." So cosmos, then, is neither the leaf nor the light, but the dance they enact. It's neither human nor nature, but the beautiful relation that they perform together. And Thoreau made it his life's work to express this beautiful relation as an act of writing, as poetry. Because the performance exists in the relation, not alone in the words on the page, which are those black hieroglyphs, nor alone in the reader of those words, but in what happens in that alchemical instant when the reader plus the hieroglyphs combine into meaning. Thoreau, in short, made it his business to toe that line, to write the cosmos. And he worries, because we've lost sight of the life of the cosmos and think it only a curious philological fact, that to write it, W-R-I-T-E, is also to write it. This will work better in print, R-I-G-H-T, to make it right. That is, to turn it from dead fact into living poetry, make our relationship with it not merely one of knowing, that is, devising a system of correspondences whereby the word represents the thing such that we can know it and talk about it, nor even of being such that we ponder the great mystery of the universe, the mystery that we really, after all, don't and can't finally know in itself, but more, rather, an ethical and moral relationship. That beautiful relationship that is cosmos will pull science and poetry together into an ethical relationship with the common world, the world that is held in common because we have created it together and bequeath it to each other with every act and every word. Well, I'd like to step back from this height for a moment and trace not this Humboldtian path that I've just followed, but the more conventional paths that I think most people today still walk, what theorists in my field call the horizon of expectations, what we expect. I need to do this partly to reconnect with where you and many of the people that we know likely are, but also because I think those paths have led us astray. And I want to discern where they make their wrong turns, how they've led us to make what Thoreau characterizes as some mistakes. I'll do this briefly by pointing to the two usual modes by which we historically have read and understood Thoreau's writing. The first is the pastoral, and the second is the Georgic. Both of them are rich with possibility, but both leave me in the end uneasy, for reasons I hope to make clear. First, the pastoral. Thoreau can be read, and has often been read, as the paradigmatic writer in the pastoral mode, meaning the mode that celebrates the felicities of rural life, as seen by someone who's just passing through, enjoying the view. As we all know, Thoreau fled society for nature and found therein, in the life of exemplary leisure that he lived, both beautiful epiphanies into the truth of nature and a holier-than-thou platform from which he could launch rhetorical missiles at the follies of his neighbors.